So a lot of you guys know that I've been having a lot of problems with my positioner I've had for a while now. And so I reached out to Lima Equipment Company and kind of told them about the issues I was having, and had a really good conversation with who I think is the owner of Lima Equipment. And we started talking about, the positioners they sell. And, I was going to purchase one from them. And we went back and forth, and he said, let me send you a couple positioners. I want you to do an honest review on them and kind of tell me, your honest thoughts, what you think, and then we'll go from there. So I'm not real sure, if I'm going to send these back or, what kind of deal we're going to work out. But that's exactly what I'm going to do here. I'm pretty black and white when it comes to this stuff. So, I'm going to give you guys a 100% honest review on what I think is better, what needs improved and what doesn't. So we're going to kind of get into it here. This is their XT25 that they offer, and we're going to do a bunch of videos here welding with these things. But this positioner, from so far, from what I've messed with it and just a little bit I've played with it, it's pretty awesome. I mean, for what you get, for what it cost, it's pretty awesome. Something I should say is both of these positioners are made in the USA. They're not a cheap positioner. Like, these things are very well built. So, the XT25, it retails for like right around $850, and that includes this chuck. So for 850 bucks, I mean, you get a lot here. The XT200, it retails right around for, I believe, $1,600 without a chuck. So you got to buy a chuck for it. The chucks are like 280 bucks for a 5-inch chuck. But, what I'm realizing here is I spent close to $300 on this Vevor, however you say it. $200 or $300 on this positioner without a chuck. Had to buy a chuck for probably $300, and it's a piece of trash. And I'm going to kind of go into that with you guys. But for, $850, you could have got that positioner. For $300, you get this. You put another, $300 in it. So now you got $600 in this thing. And then I turned around and it would turn, it spun way too fast. So I went ahead and I started doing some research. I bought a different motor for it. And, that motor was, say, $50. And I got 2 or 3 hours in, setting the motor up, messing with it, trying to get it dialed in, when I could have been, making welds and making money with the other positioners. So I'm going to kind of show you guys now where I'm at with this positioner and the problems I'm having with it, and why, when I'm done with this video today, I'm taking the chuck off of it and I'm throwing it in the garbage. Is kind of where I'm going with this. But, that's not really what this video is about. This video is about more, kind of showing off the Lima equipment stuff. And, what you're getting with Lima is you're getting an old school company that is in Lima, Ohio. And they really, I can tell from when I opened the box, when they showed up here, the craftsmanship on these things is just, it's far from none. They're built very well. And some of the key features with these things, I mean, we're going to go over, but they're just a very well built welding positioner for somebody that's, doing stuff in his garage all day. So we're going to get into some of the details here. I'm going to run them all for you guys. I'm going to do a bunch of welds on them, show you guys kind of what I like. There is a couple little things here that I don't like that I think could be improved, but I don't think it's the end of the world either. So we're going to get into that, and we'll go from there. So one of the big issues I've been having with this positioner is when I turn this positioner on, it's turning, as everybody can see. Now, when you start to turn this positioner down to a speed that you could TIG weld with, as you can see, it's kind of hard to tell in the video, but it's jumping. it kind of, you know, moves, stops, moves, stops, moves, stops. And it's extremely annoying. I mean, right there, you can kind of see how it's doing that. You know, it's a cheap motor. I get it. And if somebody was wanting this positioner to do stuff with in the garage, for the price point here, you know, you can get this with a chuck, set up, ready to go. And this positioner is so smooth out of the box, like, you know, I opened it, put it together, plugged it in, and when you get down on the real low speed, I mean, it's just butter smooth. It's hardly moving right there, and it's just butter smooth. I'll leave this in it so you guys can actually see that it is turning. But it's, I mean, it's wild how smooth these are. And this positioner will totally stop on the speed. I believe this positioner is 0 to 12 RPMs. So for most people, TIG welding in their garage or TIG welding in the shop, you know, that's really good. I mean, I don't think you could really complain about that. This positioner will tilt 0 to 90 degrees very easily. So, you know, whatever you're wanting to do, you can do it with this. And like I said, it comes with this chuck, which this chuck is, you know, $200, $225 just for this chuck. So I feel for the money, this is a really good positioner for the price. Now, the XT200 is more on the line of what I need. It's purged through, so you can hook a gas hose on the back, which I'm going to show you guys. Comes up through the chuck here. You can put a purge right in your part. You don't have to worry about getting the hose tangled up as you're welding. And, you know, for the difference in this being $850 and this being $1,600, now that doesn't include the chuck, but I feel like, you know, it's still not a bad price on this positioner when you start looking at some of the other higher quality positioners that are on the market. I mean, you can get up to $3,000, $4,000 real quick, and, you know, that still doesn't include a chuck. So I'll show you guys this one. It's a little bit louder. That is one of my things I noticed right away, but it's also extremely smooth. And I mean, you can see when you start bringing the speed on, it's very smooth, and it is very fast still. Now this positioner is rated at 0.5 to 2.5 RPMs, this one I have right here. But to me, I mean, it seems faster than that. I didn't count it, but it's also very smooth on the speed control. It's butter smooth. And you guys will see that as we start doing some welding videos with this positioner. This positioner is also adjustable, which I'll go over all that with you guys, to negative 15 degrees to 130 degrees. So it'll really roll, you know, a lot both ways. And like I said, it's just extremely well built. So we're gonna kind of set up some demonstrations here. We're gonna do some welding with both of these, and I'm gonna kind of give you guys my honest opinion on what I think you should buy if you're looking to buy a positioner like this. You know, do you need the XT200? Or do you just need, you know, this XT25? So the one thing about the XT25 is Lima only rates this positioner at 25 pounds. Now, I asked him, I said, you know, it seems like it's built a lot heavier than, you know, a positioner that can support 25 pounds. And they said they just label them 25 pounds like they've never really had one of these things go bad. So odds are, you know, you could put a lot more than that on it. When I started thinking 25 pounds doesn't sound like a lot for the typical guy, you know, welding fittings out in his garage or welding V-bands on, you know, 25 pounds is actually a good bit. Some of these turbos I weld a lot of, you know, you start measuring the housings and stuff on them, they're only 15 pounds at most. So, you know, yeah, you're rated here on your chuck, your 4-inch chuck, and I'm sure you could put a 5-inch chuck on here, but I think for the price point of this unit, you know, It's a very good unit. I'm going to go through and show you guys on the XT200 here how the pivot works on it. And you know, when I first got it, I didn't even realize it pivoted the way it does, and I think it's awesome how they have it set up. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys that now. So the first thing you'll see is this. You loosen this to hold it, and it still won't move. Okay, you come over here, and you have an angle finder, and you turn this lever, and you can set that anywhere you want, and now it will stay there. And then you just tighten this down and it locks it so it can't move. I think that's awesome, because on, you know, back to the Vevor one or Vevor one, all you have, I need to take this off here. All you have is these little wing nuts that I have extremely tight. And this one's tight right now. And you can see how easy it moves. I mean, I can't loosen this one with my fingers, and it'll still move. So like you get something in there and you need to have it on a 45, like with the chuck on it, it just moves. You know what I mean? The other thing I want to point out that I think they really did a nice job on these is these ground terminals. You know, got a bolt here on them, copper bolt, brass bolt coming out of there. Hook your ground right on there. You can hook the ground clamp on it, or you can, the way I have it set up is I just got a actual ground bolted on there, and you don't have to worry about anything. You don't have to worry about it grounding through the table, grounding through the positioner and hurting it. You just put your ground on there and you're done. And it's a direct connection to the chuck. And you do see that on a lot of higher end positioners. On this one, this is what you get here. You get these two, I don't know, 14 gauge wires, and this thing that just pushes up on the plate, which if you look close from the little bit I've used this thing, there's actually a gap in there. So like sometimes that spring's warped now from the heat, and you won't get a good ground, and it's grounding through the motor. So, you know, I'm just showing you guys here, you know, what I think. This one also is very loose. The bearings, you know, where the table connects. It's just, you know, it'll get you by if you're welding, say, exhaust pipe or something. But if you're really trying to be serious here, I mean, you need one of these. Something I'll show you guys too here, and I'm going to get it set up here in another video and weld some stainless with it. But you can hook your argon connection up here. I'll show you guys how I do that. I like to use, I got a bunch of older swedge lock fittings a guy gave me. You can put a swedge lock fitting in here, put a swedge lock fitting down in the chuck, and you can real easily just quick change, you know, your purge hose in and out. You can run a hose up through here and put it in your piece if you got a piece that's in a fixture, or you can just put a purge plug right in the bottom with a little piece of tubing, and you don't have to worry about getting the hose tangled up as you're welding. This unit here, for somebody that's welding stainless steel exhaust pipe or aluminum exhaust pipe, you know, I think this is the positioner to go with. So they also rate this at 200 amps. Now, from my knowledge, I've run 250 amps on the cheaper one. I'm sure this one, the way it's set up, is going to handle 300 amps. You know, it was something else I asked him about, and he said, you know, we've never had one burn up. We don't know what guys actually use them at. We just rate them at 200 to be safe. So I'm going to say, you know, you're probably good to push this thing. I don't know for sure, but we're going to find out, because that's what I'm going to do. You know, some of the stuff I'm welding, these aluminum turbos, you know, on the housings, that I'm running 300 amps. So we're going to see what happens. And I'm sure it'll be fine. This positioner has a worm gear in it. The motor sits this way, I believe. I haven't taken it apart, but I believe the motor sits this way, and the shaft has a worm gear. Where with the XT25, it's direct drive, from my knowledge. So, you know, this one is going to be a little smoother. You don't have the gear lash and what in it. But from this one here, you know, if you go back to the 200, you know, it's tight. There's not a lot of slop in it. This one's, you know, same way. There is a little bit of movement, which is going to be with that motor. But, you know, just a good unit. Something else here I need to point out is if you are going to order one of these, you can order these in 3 speeds. So this is a 0.5 to 2.5 RPM. Like I said earlier, it seems faster than that, but I don't know. The next one up is 2 to 10 RPMs, and then they make a 7 to 25 RPM one. So that seems crazy fast to me. I feel like for what I'm doing, the 0.5 to 2.5 is a perfect speed because, you know, that's pretty fast. So I think, you know, for what I'm doing, that's the right speed for a guy like me. And for most of you guys, that's probably what you're gonna want. I'm gonna go ahead and get this one mounted on my bike lift I use that I got set up. And in the next video here, we're gonna run some welds out with both of them and kind of show you guys, you know, how good they are, how good they work with, and go from there. The one thing I did want to point out on both of these units, I'll show you guys here. I'll put this one back to 0. And it's not a big deal. If I'm going to complain about one thing, this is the one thing I'll complain about, I guess. And it's hard for me to really find something to complain about here. These knobs, I feel like I could possibly break this knob off. That's really the only thing. They feel very well quality. I mean, you can see that knob doesn't move. Neither one of them. They're not loose or anything. They're good quality. You know, I'm sure that's a made in the USA electrical knob. But like, to me, I feel like if I drop something, I could break that off, and it would be easy to fix. But I know some of them have like a digital readout on them, like digital buttons and all that. I really like how this one's just old school. There's not a lot to go wrong here. You know, you got a really good quality pedal with both of them. It feels very heavy duty compared to like the cheaper one here. Loud, noisy, just feels like it's got like a spring and a switch in it. Where this one, it feels like good quality. But we're gonna wrap this video up here. We're gonna get these set up, and we're gonna make some welds with them here in the next video, and kind of give you guys, you know, honest feedback after I weld with both of them, what I think.